Hello, everybody. Thank you for sticking around and joining us for New Release Rundown. We're going to go through some of the games that have come out over the past couple of weeks, give you an idea of what you can go buy at the store now. We are joined by Will.
Hello.
And Mox Boarding House has been nice enough to allow me to borrow a bunch of their games on promise that I return them.
Please.
And don't open them. So you don't get to play with all of these.
Unfortunately, no. I've done enough research, though, that I feel very confident that we won't need to open them, so that's good. Yeah.
So usually what we try to do is we'll pick a game and we'll kind of start off with it, and then we'll let chat vote on maybe a couple other options. I don't know if we will have that up and running this week. But we'll see what happens. So what would you like to start with? I know there's a couple here that you were particularly excited about, Will.
Let's start. I've actually got a list, so let's just start with Catacomb Cubes.
Okay.
So that's one.
I think it's hiding over there.
There we are. Yep. Radical. So here is Catacomb Cubes. That's right here. All right. So Catacomb Cubes is going to be, if you are a fan of things like Tiny Towns or certain kinds of dexterity games or things like that, Catacomb Cubes is going to be a perfect game for you and your group.
Well, because the original Catacombs, this is like a spin-off game.
Yep.
The original one was kind of like a carom or crokinole. Like you would flick the disc and try to like knock the ogre off the board and stuff like that.
Yeah. And like depending on your character, if you were the archer, you could like use an arrow, but the warrior...
It's a very, very well-received game.
Yeah, and it looks very cool. It fits well on a table because it's like really big and you have these bumpers so that things don't go off the table.
Yeah, the art style for this one is very different, but the original Catacombs, I absolutely loved the cover art.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to feel a lot different from that game, however, whereas that is more of an adventure game and has more of like a dexterity aspect. This still does have a dexterity aspect to it, so it is going to be similar in those regards. However, this is more of a resource management game mixed with a dexterity game, mixed with some like Tiny Town style game. So the idea here is you're going to generate cubes on your turn. The cubes represent different resources that you'll have that are available to you to build certain things over the course of the game.
Sure.
You'll have a set of cards that have basically a plan for whatever that aspect is of your building. However, when you build them, you're going to have basically like tetronymos. They're going to be little like Tetris-shaped bricks with little squares to them. And then your building plan says, I have to stack this in such an order that it stays on top of itself. And then that's when you're allowed to then put your building into your tableau as well too. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a reverse Jenga.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a little bit of reverse Jenga. It definitely has that Tiny Towns aspect of you have your resource and then you're trying to put together a building to put into a tableau. But instead of just building a pattern on a card, this is more of a dexterity aspect. Where
kind of like a 3D thing.
Exactly. It's a 3D thing. You're stacking them together. You're doing that as well, too. And then there are other options for, like, buildings will, again, have certain abilities, like the same way they have in Tiny Towns, where you can stack resources or you can change resources and stuff as well, too. Yeah.
Do you know how complicated the rules are? Is it leaning heavily on the dexterity side of things, and the rules are pretty simple, or is it a balance between the two, do you think?
I would say it's about the same weight as Tiny Towns. So again, going back to like something similar, it is very much the same weight as that game. The cards have a similar, again, when I was looking at it, the cards have a similar like plan to them and stuff as well too. However, it's the dexterity aspect of how you're stacking those again is what then becomes very interesting. So yeah, if you have a group that likes Tiny Towns, this is a very good aspect because it's like that with some other aspects as well too.
With a twist.
Exactly.
So if you like Catacombs, if you like Tiny Towns,
especially,
are there any other games that you feel are really close to this that if you've played and liked, then you should give this one a gander?
It has some of the aspects of like Ugnaught or what was the Ugtect, the communications game, but less of the communications.
The caveman building stuff.
The caveman building stuff game, yeah, with the random communication. It has some of those aspects, but more of the building aspects, less of the actual communication aspects, obviously. And then tableau games. If you like certain tableau games or resource management style games like that, again, this is going to be up your alley for those reasons. I know certain people don't like necessarily dexterity games, so again, if that's not your thing, this may be one to avoid as well too. But again, Catacombs is that's also one of their things is dexterity. They tend to do a lot of either flicking or stacking or things like that as well too. So yeah, it seems to be the theme of the family of games as well too.
Great. And what's the spite level? Because we usually try to gauge that.
Yeah, very little spite on this one. It's very much you have a tableau. Do
you get to mess with other people's tableaus?
Not really. Nope. Yep. It's very much again like Tiny Towns. It's very much you're kind of slowly working on something, gathering a resource, building a thing, and kind of working on that over the course of the game, hopefully scoring points to then win over a majority victory.
Great. So I'm curious for people to check this out, because Catacombs, again, was very, very well received.
Really well received, yeah, especially. Yeah, and the art style's so different, too. I'm curious, what kind of families and stuff will get into that as well, too. So that'll be very cool. Lucy, we have a poll in chat?
Yes, it looks like the next one chosen is the Pathfinder
Fantastic.
Game Mastery Guide.
Yes, one of my favorite books in the Pathfinder family. I played a ton of first edition Pathfinder, and this is, as a GM, this is one of my favorite books to go to.
Have you jumped into a lot of second edition Pathfinder?
Oh man, I have read the book a number of times. I have yet to actually get a campaign going, but I am like, as an old Pathfinder fan, the action economy is so much better now. A lot of the traits and the backgrounds and your ancestry is a lot different now, and that works a lot better, I think, as well too. I'm absolutely very excited to see the different direction they take this as well too, and I love, well, having read through this, I love this book as well too. Yeah,
Great. Well,
so
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Yes.
And say this is for GMs.
Man, this is why they pay them the big bucks,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen. This is why they.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah. And then he pays me eventually.
Yep. So what's in this?
So the Game Master Guide is going to be, so if you are a Game Master, if you're a GM, and you're looking for some resources or some help in GMing, this is a fantastic resource for either new GMs or returning GMs. If you're unfamiliar with the Pathfinder system as well too, this is a really, really, really good way to get familiarize yourself with how to run certain adventures, but also how to do really creative things and really interesting things with like your puzzles or your traps, or there was an entire section on how to do a haunting, and so it's less about you're fighting ghosts, but it's more about how do you solve this past life thing that this ghost is dealing with, and so less combat, more mystery, more stuff like that as well.
Well, so like looking at the table of contents, we have like game mastery basics,
Yep.
and this just seems to be just teaching people how to run the game.
How do you learn how to play a game? Exactly. Yeah.
So
how does combat work? How does sneak attacking work? How does sneaky dice work? How does the surprise round work? Which is again a thing that a lot of us don't necessarily use. Right? Is you?
I use it all the time.
Right. Exactly.
I love throwing it at my players.
But some of us, when you do into an ambush, maybe you just go, all right, roll your initiative, go into combat. Well, let's do a surprise round because that can be really interesting and flat-footed and all.
Looks like there's a couple topics they call out are like rarity in the game to manage, because that's always a complicated thing with magic items.
Especially. Yeah.
So then it's got the basics, and then it has tools.
Yes.
And that looks like it's just guides and rules for
how to
building
dungeons,
monsters, traps, items, worlds, things like that.
There's some fantastic tables in that book as well too that are, all right, you're going into your next room, roll a couple D100s. Your room is made of stone and it has these certain traps in it and it has this many doors, and you can really quickly create stuff like that as well too. We're looking at an explanation on the planes. There's an entire chapter on what the different planes look like, how they function.
Looks like there's a couple different planar traits to help you customize some stuff.
One of my personal favorite chapters in this book actually is there's specifically an NPC chapter on how to build your NPCs. There's an NPC gallery as well too, which shows you you need a quick scholar. Here's some just dirty stats for a quick scholar. Here's a thief. Here's a bartender or something as well too, that you can just kind of, all right, I need this really fast. Just grab it out of the book and go.
So it looks like it's also got a section on subsystems. And this includes stuff like researching, chases, dueling, vehicles.
How to do a really cool chase scene, and how to mechanically have that function for your party as well too, instead of just all right, you go this far and they go this far every round. It's how to have a cool mechanical chase scene.
Yep.
But yeah, going back to the NPC gallery though, there is I think it's 183 in this book. There is one of my favorite tables in the entire history of Pathfinder, and they had this in the last book as well too. Definitely go take a look at this. There is an Npc Traits and Gallery. If your players are having a hard time building a backstory or creating a character, this can be a really, really, really cool resource for them just to kind of page through and say, oh, your character came from this ancestry and they have this background. And
so the variant rules, have things like how to do different alignments and stuff like that. But I think the one you're talking about is the deep backgrounds.
Deep backgrounds, exactly.
So they're like, if you're a diplomat, if that's your background, then here's a table for major events that may have happened in your life that you can use to kind of build your backstory.
So if I'm struggling to figure out why I was exiled from my city, here's a list of 100 different backstories that are all super cool. You could roll randomly on one and generate one if you want to. You could have a thing. One of my favorite, actually the older version of this book, there is a Npc Quirks and Traits. So you can roll on and get like your character rhymes with the last word that a person said in their sentence. So every time they say something, you have to rhyme the last word that they said under your breath or something, because that's like your weird perk that you have. As
Good luck with that.
Exactly. But yeah, so again, fantastic resource. If you're a game master, if you're getting into Pathfinder as a system, again, this system came out last year, so some of us might be unfamiliar with the way that second edition Pathfinder functions as well too. So this is a fantastic resource to get into that as well.
How specific do you think this is to Pathfinder? Like if you're not playing Pathfinder,
well,
how much, because it seems like there's a fair amount of rules in there.
Yeah, there is.
Is there a lot that would be beyond that, or is it really just very focused on Pathfinder?
I would say a lot of so again, like I've said with the NPC gallery trait and all of that stuff, I've personally used that in other systems before because it is just a D100 table that you're rolling on to get like some cool, quirky stuff. Those are fantastic. Again, some of the more mechanical things, like you were saying, like surprise round, those, like the very first chapter of that book, the basics.
Sure.
That's probably going to be purely second edition Pathfinder stuff. Basically, you're going to go through how their AC works, how all of those types of things as well too. So if you're not playing Pathfinder necessarily, you can probably skip the first chapter, but the rest of the book itself will probably be pretty useful. Even the NPC Gallery, you can probably fudge some numbers a little bit towards whatever you're doing as well too. Yeah.
Great.
Fantastic. But yeah, a very cool book, fantastic system. If you guys haven't tried it out, or just take a look on it online as well too. There's some actual plays and stuff as well too. It's very cool.
Great.
Yeah.
What would you like to cover next?
Interesting.
And then we'll try to put up another poll.
Yeah. Let's go with letterpress.
Okay.
This one was really interesting and strange, and I think I like it.
Okay. And this is from Osprey. And one of the reasons that I grabbed it is that Osprey has been doing more and more really intriguing and well-executed board games.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
So, letterpress. If you are a fan of word games, if you like things like paperback or those kinds of drafting style games that have a Scrabble aspect to them as well too, you're a Scrabble fan and you just like word spelling games or things like that too, right? Or just a literary person in general. Letterpress is going to be very good. It's a mix of drafting and then spelling kind of game essentially. So the idea here is you're going to draw from a deck of cards. There is a vowels deck and then just like a letters deck essentially, which has a mix of consonants and vowels as well too. You're going to draw 3 cards from that deck, and there's going to be kind of like a river on the table. If you've ever played poker before, you're just going to put those 3 cards out. Those are available to everyone, those 3 letters or consonants. However, you're also going to have a hand of cards that you're then going to pass and then draft over the course of the game. So you will take a look at the hand of cards, you'll pick one of those cards, you'll pass that hand of the cards to the next person. Somebody's going to pass you a hand of cards, you're going to take a look at those cards, pick one of those again, and then you're going to continue to do that until you've built a hand of 5 cards. Once you've built a hand of 5 cards, then there is a round in which everyone basically stops and takes a minute to look at the cards they have, the letters and vowels and consonants, the vowels and consonants on the table, and then you try and spell the best word possible using the most of those letters as well too. Over the course of the game, there are also some like scenario cards as well too. So you'll draw a set of cards. There are usually 3 cards that say you get extra points if there are double letters in your word. If you're able to use all of your letters, then you gain this many points as well too. So
are you only building from your own letters?
You're building for your hand, and then the 3 letters that are on the center of the table as well too. Interesting rules about that are if there's a letter in the center of the table, like an O, but I want to spell cool, I'll have to have a second O in my hand for me to be able to spell that. Actually, so
you can use each card once.
Essentially, sort of. So it works the way where, so actually, if it's a letter, let's say like a word like everyone would have 2 E's, but they're both on either side of the word. I would need 2 E cards to do that. But if 2 letters are next to each other in the word, you may use 1 card for both of those letters.
But wouldn't cool do that?
That's why I had to change my example.
Okay,
so
got it,
everyone,
okay.
as an example, 2 E's on either side, need 2 E cards.
Okay.
Cool, however, 2 O's next to each other,
Okay.
1 O card
right.
can function for both of those. O's,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
There's also a QU card in the deck as well too, and QU can function as either QU in your word, or it can function as Q in your word as well too. So there's some cool little fun, how you spell your word as well.
To actually like get around the weird ways we spell things.
Exactly, in the English language. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but overall, again, really great drafting game, really great letters game as well too. It does feel similar to paperback in that you're drafting a set of letters that you then need to spell a word with. I've played paperback before actually, and I found that paperback can be really frustrating though, because the number of letters you're getting are kind of limited at some points. With this drafting style game where you're passing cards, you're taking cards and looking at a hand of cards, I think you have a better chance, especially someone who's not especially literary as myself, you have a better chance of spelling words easier when you're you get a wider resource of letters to pull from as well too.
Do you know how accessible it is? Like, is this, because like I brought paperback to my mother who loves Scrabble.
Very cool.
And it mostly worked out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, totally, yeah.
Is letterpress something I could do that with?
So that's kind of my question. I'm not sure. I'm sure my brother or like some of my friends who are gamer type people, some people who like Scrabble and stuff could probably get into it. I'm not quite sure this is something you want to take to grandma and you want to show her how to play this. The drafting mechanics and the word mechanics themselves, especially when you get into double letters and having a number of letters in your word and some of those kind of heightened rules, they get to be a little bit complicated. When I was doing my research on this, actually, that was one of the first things that I was like, okay, I need to write down those kind of little rules, especially as well too, like having double letters or having QUs and things like that as well too. So I think if you have literary friends and if you have board gamer friends, this is very good. It might take some folks that aren't necessarily used to the drafting mechanic or something a little bit longer to get into that.
Maybe start them with like Sushi Go or something like that.
Or something like that especially, yeah. However, like I said, with the word spelling mechanic, personally, being able to pick from a set of words in a hand and then spell a word is a lot easier for me versus paperback, like you said, where it's something where you kind of have a little smaller resource of words on the table as well too. So yeah. So I find the spelling easier, but the mechanics a little bit harder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So, what do you want to? Oh, I believe Starcadia.
Starcadia?
Great. Starcadia won next.
This looks very
so
cool.
this is a big box game.
It is a big box game, yeah.
And I wish we had an open copy just to look at the minis in here.
I know, right?
Because this is from Simon,
Yep.
and I believe they did Arcadia Quest as well.
This is the sci-fi version.
Yep.
Of Starcadia Quest. Yeah. So personally, I am a miniatures player of 10 years. I play Warhammer, Infinity, everything under the sun, basically. I have always wanted to play Arcadia Quest. It has always appealed to me. I love chibi minis. They look fantastic. I've always wanted to paint them. Everything about the game seems very cool. Players have variable, powers based on whatever character you're playing as, and there's a huge breadth of characters in the box as well too. So you have a lot of different options for when you're playing. Game itself kind of feels like a tactics game. So if you like Final Fantasy Tactics, or if you're a fan of like Fire Emblem or things like that, if you're a fan of, let's say, what was the there's Crystal? No, there's Crystal Caves or no. Crystal Clans
Okay.
by Plaid Hat. And there's also Summoner Wars, which they don't make anymore, which is very disappointing. But
earlier we talked about Plaid Hat
yes.
being reacquired. They have announced they have plans for Summoner Wars.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so you should check out his article where he talked about his history of making the company, it being acquired, his feelings about that,
Radical.
and then his feelings about reacquiring it himself.
Yeah, cool.
I think like all he committed to was plans for Summoner Wars.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's a hugely popular IP, so I can imagine they're doing something. But yeah, so Arcadia Quest, again, another hugely popular IP for Cool Mini or Not. It's very, very, very rad. One of the very coolest things about this game specifically is each of the minis themselves seem to be kind of based on some pop culture style characters as well too. So you have like your classic Space Marine, but you also have like a Ripley looking character.
So there's a little bit of sense of humor in here.
There's very much a sense of humor behind it as well too.
So we have like a cyberpunky guy with his sunglasses bolted on his face.
Right.
We have a Space Marine with a cigar.
Yeah.
We have a hacker girl with pigtails. We have a kind of a dreadlocked apocalypse person.
Yeah, definitely go online and take a look at the minis on like the website as well too. And there's some painted versions as well too, which look phenomenal. That are you can find them on Board Game Geek and stuff.
Yeah, the
as well
minis are
too.
just the minis are just way too cute.
The minis are super, super cute. But yeah, the idea is you are playing as a team. You guys are, the board is a variable board, so you have a number of tiles you'll lay out. Each of the tiles have different rooms to them and different things associated with them.
So it's fully co-op?
It's fully co-op.
Okay.
It's scenario-based as well too. So you're based on a certain scenario, you're playing inside of a ship or something as well too. You're fighting off monsters inside of your ship, alien monsters, and then you're trying to either repair something or fix something or do something over the course of the game as well too. And so it has variable abilities per player. So every player has different abilities depending on which character they're playing as and which kind of abilities they want to use during that turn as well too. And then there's also some variable turns as well too. So you can take turn whenever you need to and stuff as well too. And then it has a dice mechanic for like combat and stuff as well too. So you roll a set of dice depending on your attack value and stuff as well too, and then depending on your defense value and stuff as well. You reflect that in the game. So yeah, it's very cool. Again, it's a little complicated. So this is definitely something for folks who are into something like Summoner Wars, or if you played like the Pathfinder board games before, or any of the Dungeons and Dragons board games, Castle Ravenloft, or any of those types of things before. Those are a really good example to start with. This is a little bit less RPG focused, a little bit more, it's a scenario, and we're just going to run through the scenario, and that's kind of that as well too. So there's less definitely RPG playing, and there's more a mechanical side of things. But again, Arcadia Quest, stuff like this, Summoner Wars. If you like those styles of tactics style games, or looking at video games, if you look
and just super adorable.
And just super adorable as well too. Yeah, if you like the chibi art style and stuff as well too, you'll probably fall in love with these characters and the different art style they put them in as well too, which is
awesome.
Very cool.
Another big old game with minis from Cool Mini or Not.
Always, and they seem to do really good work. And their minis are always really great quality. They have some really good plastics they work with as well too.
Yeah, I really like it. It's just there's a couple companies that are doing the chibi miniature style, but not a ton. So it's a very unique spin.
Especially, yeah, totally.
All right, are you ready?
Ready. Let's see.
You ready to get burninated?
Let's get burninated. Oh, so spicy. Oh, it's so hot. Whew.
He's a dragon. He's a dragon
man.
Yep.
He's a dragon.
So tell us about Trogdor.
Okay.
The Burninator.
Couple notes about this. Trogdor recently came into my life again.
Okay.
Because my girlfriend.
So you've welcomed Trogdor back into your
heart. I
heart.
have welcomed Trogdor back into my heart. My girlfriend had never seen this before, or Homestar Runner, which they are shutting down Adobe, so I had to this is my childhood, so we went on a deep dive of this. So I was super surprised this came out as well too. Trogdor is a multiplayer cooperative game in which you're trying to burninate the world as Trogdor. So we are cooperatively playing as Trogdor. Over the course of the game, we will be moving across a set of tiles, trying to burn all the tiles and everything on those tiles.
So you're Trogdor, I'm Trogdor, we're all Trogdor?
We are all Trogdor.
Okay.
Trogdor's in here. He lives here in your heart.
All right.
And it burns a lot.
That
he
seems
feels
reasonable.
like heartburn.
Yep.
Yeah.
That explains a lot about my health.
Exactly. It's why my was. So the game Trogdor here, I'm going to turn on the back so you can see an example of the tiles and stuff as well too. So the idea here is we have a set of tiles. Each of the sets of tiles themselves have either villages on, or cottages, excuse me. In the famous Trogdor canon, he burninates cottages.
Thatch-roofed cottages.
Exactly, that's correct. So you have thatch roof cottages, you have villagers, you have knights, mountains, and then there's a lake, a single lake in the game as well too. If you'll remember from the Trogdor Choose Your Own Adventure type and go game, there was a very famous lake in that as well too.
Apparently, I did not delve as deeply as you into the lore of Trogdor.
There was a type as you go adventure game that they made for Trogdor, which was super fun. Which I played as a very young child.
Sure.
So every turn, you as a character have a set of cards. Each of the cards have either a number of action points on them or an ability that is a secondary action. You have 3 cards per turn. You can burn one of those cards and turn it into a 5 AP card. So basically, if I don't like my number of AP or if I don't like the action, just burn it and turn it into a 5 AP.
Sure.
On your turn, you can spend AP to move Trogdor, burninate something, chomp a villager if you'd like to. There are certain aspects of the game as well too where, for the lake, the north, south, east, and west tiles have to be burninated for you to then burninate the lake. Because essentially everything around it has to be scorched, right? Yeah.
That is quite a sentence.
Right, exactly. The mountains allow you to hide as Trogdor, meaning any knights or archers around you, you don't take damage from them during the turn as well too.
Okay.
When Trogdor takes damage, you lose villagers that he's eaten, so eating another villager will add back to your health over the course of the game as well too.
They like slice a villager out of you?
Yeah, there's a little health track where you drop the villagers onto the health track, and then every time you get hit, you take a villager off the health track to show that like you've been removed.
But they're not like back alive or anything.
No, they're not back alive or anything. Actually, what's interesting is if a villager gets burninated, they are removed from the board, which means you can't chomp them for food, which means you have to be super careful about when you burninate villagers.
So you're telling me about the super deep tactical elements of Trogdor, the Burninator?
Ironically, I was watching the playthrough of this. If a villager gets burninated, there's a chance they move to the next tile. And then if there's another villager on that tile, they also get burninated because the villager like runs into them and catches them on fire as well. So you could lose 2 villagers, theoretically 2 health in a single turn by accidentally like setting a villager on fire and stuff as well too. So it's got some very goofy mechanics like that. It's very much in the vein of, if you like Homestar Runner, if you liked that stuff, you will love the humor in this game.
I suspect that if you did not like Trogdor,
Yeah.
this is not going to sway you over to a deeper element there.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But there's huge references to the show as well too. There's a series of cards that all have, you have strong bad, you have strong sad, and different characters in the deck of cards and stuff as well too. Overall, it looks like a really fun, just kind of co-op game. It's a collective co-op, so we are all playing as one character, trying to achieve one goal over the course of the game, trying not to lose to the board over the course of the game as well too. As far as games that this is like, it's kind of a hard one because like I kind of want to compare it to Rampage or Terran Meeple City if any of you have ever played that before. But again, there's no dexterity elements to it, so it's it's more of just the fun, let's destroy everything on the board aspects of that as well too, fighting against the board to try and win and stuff as well too. There's not a lot of collective co-op games I've personally played, so finding something like that is. This is going to be a little bit different from that, obviously. And again, you're going to have to talk about what choices
you know
make.
what prevents somebody from just kind of armchair quarterbacking the game? Is there a limit on communication or anything like that? Or are they just,
I'm not sure.
It's Trogdor, stop worrying about it?
I think it's kind of Trogdor, stop worrying about it, yeah. And I think because you have a set of cards and each of those cards have actions on them, you as a player will choose actions or action points to spend.
Sure.
But again, I think it's probably going to end up being, there'll probably be some pretty obvious choices as far as, I need to move here, I need to burn this turn. I need to hide here because there's a knight here this turn and stuff as well too. So I think those aspects of it will probably the collective consciousness of it, I think will probably be pretty
I really feel like this boils down to, it burninates down to, do you like Trogdor?
Exactly, yeah.
Does Trogdor make you laugh and like giddy like a child? Then I suspect that you will enjoy this board game.
You'll probably enjoy this board game, exactly, yeah. But yeah, as far as like mechanics go, it looks very, very fun. I don't know if there's a lot to compare it to necessarily. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Looks
All
really
right.
cool.
I think that leaves us with a single game, and I tried to leave your most exciting one to last.
I'm so excited! Oh, give it to me!
Wow! Wow!
Top Gun!
Wow!
Oh, I love it. It's so cool. Oh.
So what would be your call sign?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I'm gonna go Poison Boy.
Poison. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would be.
But I'm also the first pilot to crash and drown in the ocean to set the movie up.
Well, so we would have what, like Goose, Maverick, Poison Boy.
Poison Boy.
And I would probably just still go with beef or frequent
beef, yeah,
beef.
that makes
So
sense,
like we would 100% maintain the
Exactly.
quote unquote tone
Yeah,
of the
I think
movie.
so, yeah. See, my gamer tag is named after a 14th century demon, so I don't know if that necessarily works.
It doesn't strike me as a Top Gun kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, so like I saw this in the store,
Yes.
and I was like, yep, sure, Top Gun.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And then I saw the pink and baby
looks
blue
so good.
character pieces, and
It
I was
is
like,
so awesome.
that's why we need to discuss
It
this.
is
So
absolutely so cool.
tell us about
So
the excitement of Top Gun.
this is Top Gun by Prospero Hall. Quick shout out to Prospero Hall, local Seattle designers. A couple of my friends actually work for them. My friend Aaron Dono and my friend Chris Rollins. Big shout out to those guys. I know that they worked on this project and also like a couple of their other projects as well too.
Well, like so they did Funkoverse, Villainous,
Yep.
a whole slew of like Jaws,
Oh my God, Jaws is so
Horrified. They've done a slew of
cool. Yeah, Choose Your Own Adventure.
licensed board games
Yeah,
that have been extremely well received in actual like play.
Yeah, especially, yeah. And actually, Jaws is a really good example of something like this, where they took a very, very, very cool IP, a movie IP, Jaws and Top Gun, turned it into a board game with both 2 phases for each game. Each game has 2 very unique phases that feel very, very cool, very much like the movie. They took the theme of that idea of the movie and really, really boiled it down to these board games.
2 phases, you say?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us what the
This game
2
also has 2
phases are?
phases. So, so awesome. This game has a volleyball phase and then a dogfighting phase. That's right, it's
course.
Top Gun.
Of course.
So, the first phase of the game is your volleyball phase. You set up your volleyball court, which is 9 cards, a net, and then 9 other cards on the other person's side. The idea is basically you just, the player who starts by putting a volleyball token on the other person's side. You basically just toss it onto one of their 9 cards, and then that's the first card you reveal to start the volleyball game.
Yep.
Each of the cards are things like you can set. If you flip a set card, you can move the volleyball 1 space to a different card adjacent to it.
Okay.
If you spike, you can move the volleyball 2 cards.
Okay.
Effectively, the idea is you want to have moved the volleyball to the other person's side and then find their blank card, which means somebody misses, and then you score a point on their side.
Okay.
For every volleyball point you score in the volleyball phase, you get an action card in the dogfighting phase, which let you use like a cool move in the dogfighting phase. And the first player to win 3 points in the volleyball phase wins the volleyball phase overall as well too. So it's this very weird push and pull like card game that feels very, very strange and funny. But again, like I said with Jaws, Jaws had an around the island phase and then an around the boat phase. This is very much they boiled down what does everyone love about Top Gun? Volleyball and dogfighting. Those are our 2 phases for this game as well too, and I really, really, really love that aspect as well.
So do you go back and forth between the 2, or do you just do volleyball and then just dogfighting?
So you do the volleyball phase, and then that gives you some resources, and it tells you who's the attacker and the defender for the dogfighting phase, and then you move into the dogfighting phase, and then that's basically just the rest of the game is dogfighting after that. So for the dogfighting phase, it feels very much like X-Wing, but a little bit more.
You were talking about that.
Yeah, before we started, yeah. It feels a lot kind of like X-Wing, but it's a little bit more boiled down, and it's a little bit, I'd say, not simpler, but a little bit more. You still have the revealing aspect and stuff as well too, but it plays a little bit harder on that, like having to reveal and stuff as well too. X-Wing has a phase where you move, then you shoot, and then you do some stuff. This is more you pick everything, and then everyone reveals, and then you kind of see what happens on the board as well too.
Sure.
So the idea here is you have so the board itself is actually a desert. It looks like kind of like almost like a Iraq or Afghanistan or some kind of eastern country, and you have valleys and deserts, and you have hills and stuff. Each of the little stands for each of the planes themselves actually has an elevation as well too, so you will change elevation as you play the game as well too, as you go.
Yep.
And that's an aspect when you choose a card that'll tell you which elevation you switch to as you go as well too. So each player will draft. They're essentially you will see it's a tile-based board, so it's all hex tiles that are all kind of spread around the board, all put together.
And then you were saying that like the card you revealed not only will determine like where you go, but will also show like how you rotate and spin around and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. So one of the hexes will have your plane facing a direction in white, and that's the direction you're currently headed. The other side of the tile will be a black plane in a turned direction, and that is the direction you turn in your next phase. Some of them are like you afterburn, so you get to move 2 spaces ahead, so you kind of boost forward as well as you, and so there's some stuff as well too that are on those tiles, but most of them are just, I go 1 space forward and then I turn 180 degrees, so I do a flip backwards and things as well too. Then each player will have a card that shows the position of your plane in the middle of the card, and then it will show you a scatter of basically like a Y out in front of you, and it will have maybe the one directly in front of you is 3 dice. The ones on the side of that are 2 dice, and the ones on the very edge of that are 1 dice apiece. So wherever you get your opponent in that lock, in that target lock, that's the number of dice you roll to hit them. The defending player chooses a similar card that has, basically it's the exact same thing, but it's facing the other direction. It's facing away from their plane, and that's a jammer they're sending out from behind them, and it has -3, -2, and -1s. So however close you get the jammer on them, you reduce the number of dice they get to throw at you. Based on that math, the attacker throws a number of dice, and then if they hit you, you get hit and you're downed, and then that's basically the course of the game. The defender has a number of tokens on the board, and for each token they fly through, they gain 2 points, up to 6 points total. If they get shot down over the course of the game, the attacker gains 5 points for having shot them down, and then at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins the game. It is a very, very, very unique take on dogfighting, action movement, miniatures, everything.
It's very, very stylish.
Extremely
very
stylish.
Top Gun.
Oh God, yeah, it's super cool. And
like see, the thing that I really like about a lot of the Prospero Hall games, and this one in particular, is it feels like if you were hanging out with your friends, and you were like, hey, you know what would be a super cool way to do a board game of this? But they would never do it. And then it comes out and they've done it.
And I've watched playthroughs of it, and it's so fun looking, and it's so goofy, and and everything about it. And like Battleship mixed with X-Wing, mixed with a number of these different mechanics, but it has that volleyball phase, which is also super goofy and just fun and wild.
Just like the movie.
Just like the movie, exactly, yeah. And Prospero Hall absolutely doing fantastic work with this, Jaws, just all of it. It's so flavorful, but the mechanics are so unique and so different. It's just absolutely wild. It's very, very cool. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, totally.
All right.
So yeah, go ahead and buy Top Gun. If you're going to buy anything today, buy Top Gun.
So Top Gun is your top choice.
My top choice.
All right.
You heard it from Poison Boy himself.
I was going to say, all right, Poison Boy. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for having me, Derek. I had a fun time.
Thank you for coming out and researching these games and showing them to us.
I'm here every week.
Maybe someday you will have a Top Gun of your own and you can be the Poison Boy you've always been in your heart.
I hope to. We'll crash that thing right into the ground.
Wow. Okay, I'm not flying with you at any point.
No one is.
It's your pilot, Poison Boy.
I need the Top Cats, the ejecting motorcycle as well too. That's my dream. For anyone who wants to build me this, that's my dream F-18.
Let me know how that works out for you.
I'm excited to find out.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for New Release Rundown. There was some questions in chat about when some of these games come out, so just want to remind everybody, we went to the store and just picked up stuff that is available on the new release shelf now. Yes. So your local store may not have all of these, but if one of them intrigued you, then talk to the store. Chances are very high that they'll be able to order it for you and get it in quick order.
Yes. Please support your LGS.
Absolutely.
Yes, please go to your local store.
Yep, so we're just trying to give you a view of like, when you're out and about this weekend, this is the kind of stuff you could pick up. Top Gun, you could live the Trogdor dream or the Top Gun dream as you desire.
If you got friends who've never seen Top Gun, you buy Top Gun.
Go watch Top Gun and then play the game.
It's all Top Gun all night.
I think my wife still has not actually seen Top Gun.
What?
Yeah.
Nelly would love Top Gun.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. Totally. Don't forget to join us in the future. Every Fridays at 11 a.m. we have Table Takes, which is a kind of a news and talk show. This week we had Privateer Press on, previewing and answering all the questions about their new game that's on Kickstarter right now.
I'm very excited.
And then at about 12:30ish, we do New Release Rundown, and that's where we show all these games. Tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have Game Night, where Peter Ackison, who owns my Gen Con, the company I work for, one of the key figures in bringing D&D to 3rd edition, and one of the founders of Wizards of the Coast that made Magic.
One of my childhood heroes.
He is running Fiasco, and Emma, Bonsai, and Anna Geeks will be players on that, and they're playing through the Suburbia playset, I believe.
Cool.
It's the new 2nd edition of Fiasco that's played using cards instead of dice. So that was on Kickstarter recently, isn't out yet. But you should check that out if you are curious or have ever played Fiasco or like story games at all. Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have the Brothers Murph playing board games. So if you want to hang out with those guys, they're very talkative. They chat a lot with folks who are viewing them. They also have a show on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
9 a.m. I think so. I'm suddenly losing all my notes.
Long
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
But they have a show on, actually, we should probably type schedule in chat. They have a show on Wednesday morning where they are painting minis, minis with the Murphs. And then on the Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m., that's Fireside with Peter Atkinson, where he is interviewing people. This season, Emma is his co-host, and they're interviewing folks about the development of D&D 3rd Edition, the kind of how that all came together. They're talking to the designers, the business folks, the artists, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then on Wednesday night, we have a bunch of authors who play D&D, the Westgate Irregulars.
Yeah.
And that is our kind of current schedule for Twitch. So we have a lot of stuff going on.
Please join us.
If you miss any of it, you can always look at the video on demand on Twitch. You can always go to our YouTube channel. The Fireside episodes are also released as podcasts every week.
Yeah.
The new episode comes out on Friday. An older episode about magic comes out every Monday.
Yep.
So we've got a lot going on. Make sure to follow us, hit the notifications,
Please do.
all that usual kind of stuff that you're supposed to say on the internet.
Yes. Follow us on
But
YouTube.
most importantly, thank you to you for watching. Thank you for Caldea Studios for the studio space.
Always.
And we will hopefully see you in the future.
Yes. Please keep gaming. We'll see you around.